Hello and welcome to ABW Radio Live. Home or away, win or lose, ABW Radio is your place to share Arsenal views. I am your host Kris, and I'm joined by a panel of fannies for today's exciting episode. Let's introduce King Fanny himself first of all, because it's his first appearance in quite a while. So hashtag welcome Dom. Hello Dom.
Thank you. It's good to be on. Finally, Captain Fanny has given me an invite, and I'm back.
Indeed, you are. I'm not sure I like the shorter hair, mate. I've got to be honest. You're not quite as it's not quite as rough as I used to like you. So
the west side Vancouverites demand cream and proper over here.
I see. Looking at OG, I can understand it's a universal look. You'll be going to Tash next.
That might take a while.
Moving swiftly on. I've also got Mr. Shredder back again, all the way from Mercoland. Afternoon, Jace.
Afternoon. Keep Donald Trump.
What's the drink of choice today, Jace? Everyone's wanting to know.
The traditional Jameson, a little Irish whiskey, because I've got a bit of that in me.
Standard. Do you know what? When I look at your new your kitchen setup, I always think of that Paranormal Activity film with those pans in the background.
Yeah. No, it happens. It happens all the time. And I'm just too lazy to turn around and do my normal setup today.
Oh, that's fine. No, bring on the pots and pans. I mean, I have a cat in the background of mine, so it's all good. Licking himself.
Well,
anyway,
as long as your pussy behaves during the whole show, then we'll be okay.
Poor Jace. Poor. You have to lower the tone. Don't catch me doing these things.
I'm an American drinking Irish whiskey. Of course, I'm going to lower the tone.
Fair point. Right, well, we're also joined by a third member, or fourth technically, if you include me, of the panel today. Be gentle, because he's a lovely man, and I like him a lot. So, afternoon to you, Ross, and commiserations, I suppose.
Thanks. Hello, good evening, everyone. If it wasn't for the fact we were broadcasting, I'd say don't talk to me, but there you go.
Well, I think I speak for all of the crew when I say it takes balls to come on a show that's full of Arsenal people when you've just had your team play and not get results. So fair play to you, and I'm sure our lovely chat box will make you feel very welcome. If they don't, I shall throw them out. Yes. Right, okay, let's get straight to it then, gentlemen, shall we? Jace, let's start with you. What did you make of the performance of the game? Obviously a 2-1 victory, just about got there. Typical Arsenal?
No, not typical Arsenal. These are usually games where we either don't get any points or we settle for the draw. And whether we got there by hook or by crook, the fact that we got there is nice to see, because in a lot of times we don't win matches like that. I don't think we deserve the 3 points today, to be honest with you. I think Southampton were very, very good and deserved something out of the match as well. But the PGMOL has their ways of helping out the bigger teams, especially at home. So I think we got away with it. Let's continue to grow from it. We were very sloppy for large parts of the match, and there are a few parts of the match when we looked like we could beat anybody. And it was really a testament to Southampton's defending that they didn't let it get away from them sort of at the 50 to 65 minute mark. So not necessarily pleased with everybody's performances today. Good to see the debutantes come on, and and interesting to see how they continue to develop in our system and our style. So, very pleased with the result, and the fact that we actually finally were able to squeak out a game when not everything went our way was nice to see, even if it wasn't deserved.
Yeah, fair point. I'm just salivating at Juventus. 2-0 up in 10 minutes. They're quite good. Dom, what did you make of, speaking of quite good, what did you make of today? I mean, obviously the result is the most important thing. Cliche, but it's true. But performance-wise, we'll come on to the lineup in a minute, but are you happy, or do you still get the feeling we're a little bit handbrake?
Yeah, a little bit similar to the girls John takes home. Not pretty, but got the job done, I guess.
I was just going to say rough, but your version was better.
Yeah, look, like Jay said, it's about time that we were able to kind of scrap out an undeserved victory, because we're usually on the receiving end of those, and it was almost a little cliche in that it was a game of two halves. I thought that the second half we were a lot better than the first half. Southampton were really impressive. The way that they defended in the spaces that they did, they just didn't give Ozil and especially Ozil room to get the space that he normally sort of finds, and so he was dropping quite deep to be able to just receive the ball in the end, just to get some kind of impact into the game. So, full credit to Southampton. I thought they did really, really well, and they were when they were moving forward, really easily through our midfield, which was a little bit worrying. But if it wasn't for Shane Long being agent Shane Long today, I think that we could have easily lost that game, because a little bit of extra quality up front with a final ball or a finisher, and I think Southampton would have easily scored at least one more goal.
Not to rub salt in the wound for Ross, but this was probably a match made for Sadio Mane actually against us. Sorry about that, Ross.
Well, we'll bring Ross in at this point. Ross, I mean, obviously this is an Arsenal show, so I don't want to upset people by going all Saints, but I thought Saints were impressive. You've been talking like your fan base. Funny actually, the Southampton fan base is almost as divided as the Arsenal fan base at the moment.
Yeah, it's something like Arsenal light at the moment. Yeah,
indeed. Your new style, new manager, etc. And you had the diamond in place again today, and it did work, didn't it? I mean, there's plenty of chances for Saints, and I suppose with 5 minutes to go, you'd have quite happily taken a 1-1 draw, wouldn't you?
I'd have taken 1-1 before the game kicked off. I was convinced we were going to get pasted today. That diamond is not sitting well early doors. We've been playing 4-2-3-1 for about 4 seasons now. So when you make a change as drastic as this formation is, it's always going to be difficult to make the jump, especially when we had so many players out for internationals over the summer. So I was terrified that Arsenal were going to walk through us today. But thankfully, the first 25 minutes were as good as we've played all season. I thought we looked absolutely fantastic. I think it also helped that Arsenal, for whatever reason, were very lax in the first 20 minutes. Perfectly happy to let us have the ball. I think if Arsenal had gone for the jugular and really, really attacked us and pressured us, you could have had 3 or 4 inside 20 minutes, because it's the process of learning a new formation is all about confidence, and I think it played right into our hands to have Arsenal say, have the ball. It then gave the players time to move it around, to prove to themselves that the tactics could work, that Puel's got the right idea, and I think it really settled us down, and it helped us move the ball better, helped us create more space. I was really impressed with the first 20 minutes, but the game as a whole I quite enjoyed. I thought it was very ebb and flow, back and forth. It was just the last 5 minutes where everything that happened in that sequence up to that penalty was all our own doing. I think there's some poor decisions in it. I'm sure we'll go into the goals specifically later, like I never say on it, but the last 5 minutes, it's hard to forgive everything that happened in that last 5 minutes for me, because we really, really, really didn't deserve to lose that.
No, I think that's very, very fair and accurate as well. We will certainly come on to the goals in a second. I just want to get an Arsenal point of view on the team. Dom, I'll start with you. Surprised to see Lucas Perez start this game? I thought Mustafi was quite an obvious pick, as good as Rob Holding has been, and let's not forget that, but I thought Mustafi was the likely one. But Perez in from the start, do you think it was purely because Alexis came back late from Chile?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think Alexis had only been back at the club for 24 hours or something before the sort of team selection stuff had to get done. So that one doesn't surprise me. And I think that he would have had one eye on the PSG game on Tuesday. And this is a perfect example of the manager being damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, because we've been crying out for a bigger squad with some more depth so we can rotate players like Alexis and not run these guys into the ground. And then, if we hadn't gone on to win that game, I'd hate to think of, some of the people and their comments towards the team selection. But definitely the Perez one, I guess, was a little surprising. I would have thought that Giroud maybe had got the nod there. But in saying that, you don't know what condition the players were coming back from in their internationals. For all we know, Giroud's not quite up to 100% fitness after going pretty deep into the Euros and then being off on international duty. So that side of it, you can't really comment too much. But yeah, I think it was definitely a surprise. He could have gone with maybe a Walcott, up front with an Iwobi and Oxlade-Chamberlain. But why not throw Perez in? But just with Ross's point about them sort of settling into a new a new style. I think that it probably helped that we were also, with the team selection, that's not a team that we'd played in any pre-season game or any game so far, with the Coquelin, Cazorla, and having, you know, a new sort of spine nearly because of Perez up front and Mustafi at the back. So I think we were also going through a little bit of a teething issue at the start of that game, which is probably why we came good in the second half.
It was definitely a sort of a strange. Well, I say strange. That was probably the more strange pick. Although, judging by Twitter, Jace, the Xhaka omission was more of a surprise. I personally didn't think it was. I think Dom makes a great point. PSG in midweek, he got sent off for Switzerland the other day, which granted is not an Arsenal thing, but it's the sort of situation you can see Arsene Wenger going, might be a little bit fired up. Let's just leave him out for a game. So, were you surprised to see Xhaka on the bench as well to start?
I actually, yes and no. Is that the Jameson talking? I don't. Well, I understood it. I didn't agree with it. That's probably the best way to put it.
That's fine. You can have that.
I do think he should have started ahead of Coquelin. I really like him and Santi, sort of together as that partnership, and but totally understand why Wenger didn't bring him in with all the travel that's upcoming and coming off of the international fixtures and showing a little bit of his intense side for Switzerland there. But I would have liked to have seen him start. Probably would have settled us down a little bit more, because he's just not as frenetic as a Coquelin.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that much of a muchness. I'm actually a little bit surprised El Nene's not getting as much time as he did sort of pre-season. I really like him, but I suppose his time will come. Ross, just from a Southampton standpoint, again, obviously happy with. Did you take from what your lineup was the plan that you were going to play? Did you think that's how it transpired? And was there anyone in Arsenal's lineup that you particularly thought, oh, I'm a bit worried about that?
Worried about? No. The one I was looking at was Coquelin. I think we always worry about Ozil when we go and play against Arsenal, but I think the diamond especially, I was very nervy about the diamond, as I say, but the one thing I believed in was that the diamond would help quiet Ozil down, because he's slap bang in the middle of it, so I wasn't too worried about him as much today. It was mainly the idea of picking a player to try and get at, and for me it was Coquelin. Perez, I didn't know what to expect. Mustafi, I didn't know what to expect. The back line otherwise is very solid, and I know what you're going to get from it. It was just a case of whether or not we could find the space against Mustafi, because normally when we score goals against Arsenal, it's because Mertesacker can't handle Shane Long. So without him, it was going to be a bit tougher for me, at least, to break that down. But outside of that, I wasn't worried about any of them. Walcott and Oxlade-Chamberlain can still do damage, but I know they're not, the greatest players for Arsenal. They don't always find their role. They don't always find their space. They don't always find their chance. So in terms of fear, I didn't see much to fear about this Arsenal team. It was more the unit and the damage I knew it could do if it started to move as well as I know it can. Thankfully, though, like I say, the diamond really helped. It kept everyone inside of a net, and we managed to shut you down quite well.
Yeah, he definitely did for long periods. In fact, quite a frustrating period of time. Jace, let's have a look at the goals then, shall we? The opening goal obviously was Southampton's. I will get Ross's thoughts on Tadic in a minute, because he's quite an underrated player, and his free kick obviously coming back off the bar, hitting Petr Cech. I remember one with John Lukic years ago happening where it hit him in the head and went in. I think it's against United at Highbury years ago. It had memories of that. Also Shay Givens last week with Everton. Yeah. But nothing he could do. Was that just a very good free kick? And were you concerned about how it was given, maybe the reasons of the build up to the free kick being given?
Yeah, I was a little bit, and then it was pretty funny, because our commentator over here in the States had just mentioned that it was from such a close proximity to the goal that it's tough to get it up and down, and he didn't necessarily need to get it down as much as he needed to get it onto the bar to get onto Czech's back. The biggest thing that sort of shocked me was our wall didn't jump. They just sort of stood there. And I think if they would have at least, jumped, I do feel like probably one of them could have at least got a nick that would have sent it over for a corner. So I was a little disappointed in that. I'm not 100% sure that they would have gotten it, though. But no, I do think the free kick there was, debatable, especially the build up to it. But it was given, and it was taking well enough to go in and just just a bit unlucky. That's really it. So usually when we get unlucky like that early in games, we get unlucky the rest of the game. So again, good to see our fighting chance and spirits come back into it.
Yeah, take what you can get. Yeah. Ross, were you confident when Tadic stepped up that he would hit the target? I mean, obviously he's taken over from Mane, I guess, as your prize jewel in that midfield until Sofiane Boufal gets fit. Love him. What did you make of the free kick, and did you feel that was a good starting point for yourselves?
Well, it was. Whenever you have that much control in the game, you need to score. And I was always worried that we wouldn't get the two that they normally say is your comfort zone. I was worried we wouldn't even get one. So when the free kick was given, it was a fantastic opportunity to at least hit the target. To the point of the wall not jumping, I noticed that as well. But I kind of wonder if they thought it was going to be Van Dijk to hit it hard and low. But at the same time, he steps away from the free kick. It's clear that he's not going to be the one taking it. So why aren't they jumping? Because I've seen Dusan Tadic for 3 years now. I know every time he's on the ball, he wants to dink it high. There's no way he's going to drill it low. So it was a strange choice not to jump. I think it's deeply unlucky for you to see it come back off the bar. Of course it is. But for Dusan, I think he hit it in the exact position he needed to. Those are the ones where if you can get it at that point on the post, there's always a chance it could go down across the line or off the post and across the line, or as it did on the back of the goalkeeper. So I thought it was a very well positioned free kick for someone that was taking it quite near to, or it was halfway through into the D, wasn't it? So I thought it was a very good free kick, but yeah, the decision not to jump was a strange one for me. I can only rationalise it as them assuming it was going to be Van Dijk low, but like I say, he stepped away from it far too early.
Definitely did, yeah, and I agree with all of you about the wall. I was never like that when you don't see a wall jump or almost fanny out of it. Dom, speaking of fannies, what did you make of the equaliser though? I mean, Laurent Koscielny, he's very underrated as a footballer. I think has been for a while. He's very technically good, and I just sort of wonder if that had fallen to. Imagine Per Mertesacker trying to get his leg that high. But I mean, hell of a finish, wasn't it? And perfect response from a goal that, if it's scored by, let's say, a Messi. Somebody's sort of on the internet immediately going, wow, and everybody's all over it, aren't they? So I mean, do you think there's not been enough credit been given, so to speak?
I think as Arsenal fans, we're always going to appreciate that stuff a little more than probably what other people do. But I mean, that's other people's loss. It's probably more down to jealousy than anything. I think that he's been doing it for a while now with big goals and good performances at the back there. But my exact words when I saw the goal go in was, "Who the fuck was that?" Because I just had no idea. I had no idea who it was. And then Koscielny popped up and ran off, and I wasn't actually all that surprised, to be honest. And I think that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Did you think at that point that we would be honest? Did you think at that point it was going to be a fairly comfortable routine comeback performance, or are you
not how we were playing?
To know? Yeah, I agree.
No, not how we were playing. We weren't. It wasn't one of those games that we were dominating and got caught on the sting. And it was quite often we see it where a team has one shot on goal for the whole half and manages to score that one goal. It wasn't the case of that. I think Southampton thoroughly were deserving of their lead. And it was kind of against the run of play. So, as far as how the game was going at the time, I didn't think that it was definitely going to just all of a sudden turn around because of that. But I've seen it before, after an international break or when we make so many changes in a team, we don't generally do that well. That was far from our best 11, I would say. If everyone's fit and in form, I wouldn't think that some of those players are in the team. So, the positive is that we did get the 3 points, and we go to Paris now with rested players. We're sort of not really at risk of running anyone into the ground just yet, which is great. So, it's going to be interesting to see what the team selection is for Tuesday. I think to see if any of those players are genuinely kind of not fit, or was it a case of just resting up and trying to use the whole squad.
We will, of course, touch on PSG before the end of the show, just briefly, and have a little thought with the panel about what they think of it. Ross, I want to give you this opportunity to have a little rant about Shane Long, because, well, I mean,
I can swear on this pod, can't I?
Yes, you can. Of course, you can.
Good. Right, let's go.
A lot of Arsenal fans, I think, Dom, I know you've been one, I think OG said the same, that whenever Shane Long appears on the team sheet against us, we all sort of collectively look at each other and go, oh, not really sure about that, because he does give us problems. He is a pest. He's also been a prick at times against us, I think back to that 4-0 game, Paul and Koscielny. But, yeah, he drove you mad today, didn't he? Why don't you tell our listeners why?
First of all, I should stress I love Shane Long for the exact reason you just mentioned, because other people look at him and go, oh, no, not Shane Long. He pushes himself around, he gets stuck in, he's always trying to take advantage of touches and nicks. When it's your player, you love it. If it's someone else's, you hate it, and I understand that. Shane Long used to play against us, and I used to hate it, but now he's ours, love it. The issue I have with Shane today is he comes on for the second half, replaces a striker that I didn't think was doing badly, is a little short on confidence because of his injuries, got a good goal against Sunderland, or at least a good shot against Sunderland. The goal itself was Pickford. And I thought, fair enough, it's a good chance to give Jay a good run out, etc., etc. Then Shane comes on, and I'm thinking, okay, that's just to push people around. They've got Monreal on a yellow, so maybe it's just to cause a little havoc and push people about, open space, yada, yada, yada. And then he comes on, he finds his space, he dinks that chip a mile wide. I can only imagine that Czech has learnt from last year when Shane was straight through. He didn't come off his line quickly enough. But he comes out and Shane dinks this shot, and I'm thinking, oh, he's got a touch on it. He saved it. No, Shane's just put it that far wide. Then you have the through ball. I think it was from Nathan Redmond, and he cuts through, and that was the chip. The one I'm thinking of is the save from Højbjerg's shot, where it comes back to him, and it's bobbled at him at a perfect height, perfect speed. All he's got to do is get a decent connection on it. You back him every day of the week, and then for some reason today it hits his ankle bone and bobbles into the keeper's hands. And then, to top it all off, you have the goal. Now, Southampton are breaking away. You've got Shane Long on the ball. I can't think of who's behind him, but there's someone marking him. And then you've got... I can't remember which wing-back it is, but there's a wing-back chasing up to meet him. All Shane Long's got to do is look up, look around, and pass it to this wing-back, and he's in acres of room. But instead, he dives. Now, Shane is normally quite clever with those, and I love seeing them when they come off because they give us fantastic opportunities, and there would have been a great place to whip a free kick in. But it's so blatantly a dive. Monreal isn't anywhere near him when you see it on the replay. I don't know what is going through his head when he takes that dive, but he dives. Monreal takes the ball back. I think it's Monreal anyway. Clears away. It goes on the other end. You get your corner, and then everything else happens in between, and then you get your penalty. All he needed to do was play the ball. If he keeps the ball in the corner or finds a teammate, it's fine. You're 1-1 at the Emirates, 89th minute. Why on earth are you diving there? It's just ridiculous that Jay had such a good first half, and then you bring on Shane Long, and he has such a bad half that he costs us 3 separate times in 3 different ways.
I will say, Ross, in the U.S., they showed a replay where Monreal did actually literally almost drag his boot down the back of Shane Long's leg there.
Is that right? Really?
Yes, yeah, he did. Because I thought,
dive while I was watching it.
They showed a replay in slow motion.
That pisses me off even more than the fact they wasn't giving it a free kick. If it was an actual foul,
exactly. It was a foul. Yeah,
but if it was a foul, that's just as bad. I can let Shane Long off on the third incident then. But even so, I would still pick up the referee for not blowing the whistle for the head injury. So is it Koscielny that went down?
Agreed.
Regardless of whether or not it's Shane Long diving or the referee not giving a free kick, that's a poor decision from everyone.
Yeah. The head injury one, the only thought I have on that is that generally it's when it's a blatant clash of heads. So it took us a replay to figure out what was actually going on with Koscielny because it was a boot to the face. It would probably have been a little hard to see. So, but I guess generally if a player's down in the box, they usually do stop play. But I think generally it's a pretty obvious kind of head collision from those types of situations that they're onto it a little quicker.
Well, I thought Mustafi originally was when he played the ball into Giroud. I thought he was originally just going to boot it over the net to go out so they could get Koscielny treatment. And I was like, oh, he's hit that rather soft. Oh, a penalty. Oh, okay.
we go again.
Okay. Oh, whatever. Yeah.
Am I right in saying that is now already more penalties than the whole of last season?
Yes,
I think
you
it
are
is.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Santi's got 2 more goals than he got last season as well from them, which is nice.
I think we're still less than half away though from what City had last year.
That's not a big surprise. No.
Just to put it in perspective.
We will briefly touch on them in a second. Dom, what did you make of the penalty? Because I know we've definitely got mixed views in here. Because I know Ross's view is slightly different to ours, probably.
Well, it would be, wouldn't it?
But I see his point, to be fair, which we'll come on to. What did you make of it, Dom? Did you sort of cry for it straight away? Because it seemed to be one of those that no one really knew what was going on for a minute.
Yeah, the commentator here said, "Oh, Giroud didn't even appeal for it like that matters." I didn't realise that the players have to ask for a penalty before the ref decides whether they give it or not. So I found that kind of funny. But I guess with the new rules that have come in with the shirt pulling, that as soon as a referee sees a shirt kind of being stretched like it was, and he did have a fistful of shirt there, whether it was or wasn't, you're asking for trouble, I think, this season. And I think we may see a few more kind of dubious ones throughout the season that we kind of all look at each other and go, really? That? So if you kind of take away the lead up and the few incidents that led up to the actual penalty and just focus on the incident itself, I would probably say 50-50 leaning towards maybe no, but with the new rules and the way that referees have seemed to be already being pretty hot on the shirt pulling, maybe in another 6 to 8 weeks' time it will be a little bit more clear why it was given. Because I just think that as soon as a big striker like that has their shirt being tugged, that they're going to be a little more hot on it.
You're definitely going to see more given. Ross, your thought was not so much that it was a penalty as such, but more what you think the penalty was given for.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I watch my games with the sound off because I watch Soccer Saturday to follow the rest of the scores in the Football League as well. So I don't know if the commentator was telling me it was for the first incident with the arm across Giroud's chest, or if it was for a shirt pull, or if it was for when Font's on the ground and catches him. For me, if you give it for the arm across Giroud, I don't like it. I think it's harsh, but I can understand it. From what I see, the reason it was given was because Font was on the ground and caught Giroud's leg. Now, if that's what it's given for, I think that is very harsh, because I don't think that's as much Font catching Giroud as much as it is Giroud catching Font as he's trying to turn for the ball and falling over Font's leg. Because Font has done that twice in 2 games now. The penalty that we conceded against Sunderland was for that exact instance, scissoring someone while he's already on the ground. I don't think he's the kind of player to do that 2 games in a row. More to the point, the Defoe one was clearly a scissor, but this one I just didn't see it from what I saw. It looked more like Giroud had turned into his flying leg. But like I say, I listened to it with the sound off, so I can't tell you exactly what it was given for. If it was the arm, I think it's harsh, but I can understand it. If it's for the leg, I think that's very, very harsh.
Yeah. Again, fair points made. Ask John Welsh about scissoring. He knows all about that. Jace, what's your kind of overall thoughts on coming out of the game? That when you win it in the last minute, I suppose you get almost a bit of a false, not a false sort of boost out of it, but you kind of look at it and go, well, yeah, we've won the game, and you're all pumped. When you actually look back at it, were you're happy with the overall performance and some of the players in it? I mean, I thought Lucas Perez had a very quiet debut. He didn't quite look attuned to what was, naturally, it's his first game. I thought Mustafi grew into it. Oxlade-Chamberlain I thought was bitty. Walcott bitty. There wasn't many good performances, and is that a worry heading into Tuesday for you?
I don't think so, because I think a lot of our starting 11 weren't necessarily in. I actually think, and I sort of asked in one of our groups on WhatsApp, I was like, why pull Perez? He from the 52nd minute on to about like the 63rd minute, when Perez was on, we actually really clicked as a team finally. We looked attacking. It's when we had all those chances. Mesut sort of stepped his game up during that point. And I think Perez really came to life during that time, and then we instantly pulled him off because, all of that's predetermined by Wenger, and he doesn't care who's playing well or who's not. Whoever's coming on is coming on unless there's a freak injury that we've got to replace a like for like. So I was a little disappointed the fact that we did pull him off. I'm not as concerned about about the matches going forward, because I think we're going to have a more consistent 11 coming into these matches. The one thing that is a worry is I do think probably Koscielny will be out. Somebody just tweeted from the press conference that Wenger said he's at the doctor's right now. His eyes almost completely swollen shut. So that could be a worry. Probably end up seeing like a Holding Mustafi partnership, which obviously two brand new players into this squad, and two defenders who haven't ever paired together, probably except for maybe a handful of times at training now before Tuesday. So you're a little worried in terms of that, but I do think that we'll probably end up bringing Xhaka back into the team. We'll probably bring Giroud back into the team, and Alexis will probably start as well. And then whoever is on the right, that I think that's up for grabs, because you've got Theo who could play out there, or Iwobi could play out there, as well as Perez can play out on the right hand side too. So I would like to see Perez play, because I'd like to see him and Giroud sort of feed off each other. Perez was trying to play a lot of those 1-2s that he kept sort of giving away today, just because he doesn't know quite where his teammates are going to be. So once he gets that rhythm, I think he'll be okay. But I'm not as worried about it going into Tuesday. Just the fact that PSG's defense yesterday looked atrocious. So let's hope they're equally or even worse on Tuesday night, so that we can get off to our group stage game well. But I'm not so worried about the team, because I think it's going to continue to select itself more from here on out.
Yeah, I'll fill our listeners in on PSG in a second. And similar question to you, Dom. I mean, again, do you have any concerns? I don't know about you, but I feel like our season has just been so just all over the shop. We play against Watford and we look superb. We were all over the place against Liverpool. Today was sort of mixed bits and bobs. It just feels like a bit of a transition period. Dare I use that word on here?
Yeah, I think generally when we're playing our best and we get some consistency on the pitch is when we have consistent players, and that, I guess, has always been a little bit of a downfall, because if we lose one of those players like we did with Santi last season, one player shouldn't be making such a big difference to the whole team, but sometimes with the way that we click together, it does. So I'm just hoping that no matter who comes into the team, that we stick with a certain style of football, that we can just replace player for player and they can do a job, as they say. But after the game today, I did shake my head and think, well, if we keep doing that, we're not going to get close to pushing for a title this season. So we're going to have to improve regardless of personnel on the pitch. I would just like to see that no matter who's out there, that we have a bit more of a style about how we're playing. I think that when you don't have an absolute world-class out-and-out centre-forward, that it makes us a little easy to play against, because teams can just shut down the supply line. They know that they don't really have too much to worry about with Giroud sort of, taking on players and scoring his own goals. Walcott's not really done a whole lot out on that right-hand side over a long period of time for teams to really be worried there. And he's another player that is going to be on the end of the balls. So if you can stop the supply out there in the first place, and you don't really have to worry about him either. Alexis is really the only one that teams kind of have to keep a little bit of a look over their shoulder with. And so if you can shut down Ozil and you can shut down our midfield play, I think that you go a long way to shutting down any chances we have of scoring, which is why I think that Perez, I didn't necessarily think he struggled today, but I don't think that he got involved in as much as maybe we were all hoping, and I think that's mainly because of the way Southampton defended. But we see a lot of teams defend us in that same way, defending narrow, not letting Ozil kind of run around and just do what he wants, and then we struggle to get the supply into the forwards in the first place. So yeah, I'm a little concerned, but at the same time, I do want to see what we are playing like when we have Xhaka in the team. I think that's the difference maker for me, because of his passing ability. Really opens up other styles of play and can get Walcott's etc. in over the top and bypass Ozil altogether. So then it gives the teams another headache as far as trying to defend.
Yeah. I do agree with you on the sort of all the talk of the centre forward thing. You have to let things take time, don't you? It's not going to happen overnight. And we've all been calling for this centre forward. Well, we've got one. Let's just give him a bit of time to settle in. And go on, Jace.
Let's also not forget how many chances. I mean, there were a couple of times when Sanchez played it off to the middle, should have shot probably when he was around just at the edge of the 6-yard box. He probably could have 2 more steps and he's in on goal. Santee had that one shot that he probably should have shot near post instead of trying to lay it off to Ozil. Skips off of through the defense, almost falls to Giroud, who's on the ground because he slipped. I don't necessarily think that it's completely on just the ace center forward. I just think our team as a whole needs to be more greedy. Like we passed up multiple players today, passed up good opportunities to shoot for a layoff or to try to involve somebody else, and it just wasn't the right decision. I think I don't necessarily think it's who our center forwards are. I think it's the mentality of our center forwards on our team. I just don't think we're ruthless enough.
Decision making, that is exactly what you say there. It's exactly right. I think sometimes sometimes you send the players out and then you rely on them to make the right decisions, and we don't on a number of occasions. Ross, just before we go Arsenal heavy, so I can only apologise, but just from a sort of a Southampton point of view, and generally sort of view from your standpoint about how we look, how do you feel about your season ahead? Are you sort of, because I know you're quite level-headed, having known you personally, and also just what your views were as a Saints fan looking at Arsenal. How did you think we looked to you?
Season ahead, I'm the correct word. I don't know. I don't think confidence is the right word, because I don't think we're going to do anything overly impressive this season. Last year, the league was wide open. Every position in that league was there for the taking. So it didn't surprise me as much to see us move up the table. This year, it's a lot more tight knit. I think the top 7 teams have invested very heavily, and I think we're going to be able to break that. Especially with the Europa League, of course, which is why we're now playing this diamond formation. This result has, or at least will, set us back a little bit. I think it's going to damage some level of confidence amongst the team. It's going to damage the fan base because, like you said at the start, very divisive at the moment, especially over the formation and the transfer dealings. So I'm a little worried about the short term. The long term, I would be perfectly content with getting out of the group stage in the Europa League, maybe a decent run in one of the cups, and then 10th, somewhere around there for the league. That would do me just fine. But it's going to be a very bumpy ride, I think, this year. With Koeman, we had a level of stability last season. We knew what we were going to be getting. This year, with a new manager, with a new formation, with new players to work in, I think it's going to be a bit rougher for us. As for Arsenal, I have always maintained that Arsenal are one of, if not the most enviable clubs in the world, because of the sheer level of consistency you achieve despite your comparative squad quality to other teams. So I don't see a problem for Arsenal this year. You go through it every year. You or at least the core base of your fan group can get very critical about certain incidents and certain games, and then it spreads amongst the fan base, and then there's a feel that this isn't working or that isn't working. But every single season, you always get Champions League. You always attract the best players. You always play some brilliant football. You always get some really, really fantastic games of football. So I don't fear for Arsenal. I don't think you're going to win the league. Don't get me wrong. I don't think you're going to win the Champions League. But I think you're going to be another very consistent season. Whether that's enough for Arsenal fans in the modern age, I highly doubt it. But for me, as a Southampton fan at least, I would love to be in Arsenal's position to be able to get that level of success every year.
Here. It's tough having an Arsenal pass owner at times. Anyway, sorry, couldn't resist. It was just there. Let's just have a quick look forward at Tuesday. I sat through PSG last night. Good God, that was painful. They are poor this season. They really do look a bit of a mess. 4 shots on target all night. A 1-1 draw at home to St Etienne. They're playing with Hatem Ben Arfa up front, or Hesse up front, depending on which way you look at it. So no out-and-out centre forward. They've got, God bless, Edinson Cavani is on the bench at the moment, which is quite hilarious in itself. they look like a side that are kind of a big result away from kicking into gear. Do any of you, Dom? I'll start with you. Do you have any? How do you sort of feel about Tuesday? I mean, are you happy if I said to you now you can go to the Parc de France and you can come back with a draw? Will you take it, or are you looking at this game saying no, we need to go and put this PSG side away?
If we played really, really good football and got a draw, I'd be okay with that. If we played terribly and got a draw, I don't think I'd be as happy, purely because I think that we're capable of going there and playing well. If there's one thing we know about Arsenal, it's that we can beat anybody in the world and we can lose to anybody in the world, and that includes the Barbican Pirates. It wouldn't surprise me if they stuck 4 past us. That I don't see why we should be going there with too much fear, which in the past has not been a good thing when we go away in the Champions League thinking that, we can roll a team over. But I don't think that, we're going to be that confident with a PSG. But I would hope that the players are, going into the game at least with an eye on getting a result and pushing for a positive result, not just a draw, because PSG just haven't looked the same kind of team, and I guess they've had a few changes, haven't they? They've got a different sort of midfield look at the moment, and up front it's very different without the big Zlatan. So I would actually be more interested in what you think, Kris, and how you think we'll go about playing that game. Are we going to sit back and counter, or are we going to try a possession-based game, or what's going on with PSG at the moment?
Do you know what? I think, just before I answer this question, by the way, I know John is in the chat box. John, the Phantom Menez is back. He'll know what I mean. I really don't know. It's tough because PSG seem to be trying this new system under Unai Emery, which is essentially just pass the living shit out of it. And then that is all they seem to be doing. It's just possession, possession, possession. Now, I found it amazing that they didn't go for another centre-forward in the summer. And I think Emery has since come out.
They've got Cavani.
Oh, of course. As John said, he'll no doubt get a hat trick. Now I've cutted him off. But it's they just look so. They just look so pedestrian, and they look like a side that, in my opinion, if I'm Arsene Wenger, I'm sitting there going, we need to get at these guys. We need to pressure them. We need to go at them and really put them on the back foot. And I think the one thing we'll get at the Parc de France is a big pitch. I think we'll get chances, and I think the pace will get at them, because Auer is a very good fullback going forwards, but he's not particularly good going the other way. So I wonder if they might play Maxwell. Meunier the same at right fullback. Obviously they've got rid of Clown Louise, which is only a bonus for them. And there's talk that Thiago Silva will come back into the side. He's obviously a very good centre back, but that they're very pedestrian in midfield, and when they haven't got a player who can run in behind us, I'm not hugely concerned they're going to offer a massive amount of threat. That said, Di Maria is one. Marco Verratti was actually quite good in stages last night. They'll probably open us up, but not on a regular basis. And as John's just put in the chat there, Emre is almost trying to bring the La Liga style into PSG, and it's not working because the French league is far more physical, and he's playing teams that are just going to sit back. So I think you have to play at a faster pace. And PSG are just not doing that, and they're not utilising their wingers. So I think we go for them, personally, and I think that's the best course of action. Jace, do you feel the same way? I mean, do you think we should go there looking to get 3 points?
Yes. I'm American. I think we should always go to win. we don't like ties in America. Yeah, we should. Absolutely. I think we have the team, we have the depth to be able to do that. This is one of the more I'm not going to say it's easy, because there's no easy Champions League match. I think if we look back to Monaco a few years ago, shows us that. But I do think if there's ever been a time where we have been set up to succeed, it's this season in the Champions League, to be able to win our group and be able to go through. So I do think we should go there and look for 3 points. We have the talent, we have the squad to. we just got to make sure that we go in with a good game plan and hope that Wenger sets us up right. Because I do think if we actually go in very much set up like we did against Bayern a few years ago to sort of counter, and we use our speed that we have now with a Perez and a Walcott and a Wobie and Ox, and it can utilize them in the correct ways, whether it's off the bench or as starters, then I think we should absolutely do that, because I think we've seen success playing that way, going away, and in Champions League games in the past. I think that would serve us well here and probably stun them a little bit. And then they would be searching that would open them up even more. So I do think that if we set up correctly against them, we can have a very, very good game. We need to be a little more crisp than we were today, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think it'll be. I think it'll be one we might need to be patient for. So just be aware, Arsenal fans. It might take a little while to kick into gear. I think it could be one of those games that might be a bit of a slog. So yeah, don't expect a thriller. Now I've said that, of course, it'll be 8-8. Ross, I just want to get your view on the Premier League in general, because obviously you, in the nicest way possible, couldn't give a toss about Arsenal, the Champions League, I'm sure. But we saw, obviously, the Manchester derby at lunchtime, Guardiola getting the one up on Mourinho. And Paul Pogba, if anyone finds him, do let us know. We haven't seen him for at least 2 weeks now. He's missing in action somewhere. But that was that result for Man City. Chelsea obviously have still got to play. Spurs had an impressive victory at Stoke. Liverpool are currently winning at the moment. So do you think it's a legit sort of title race here? Do you think it's going to be quite an exciting season? Or do you subscribe to the idea that Pep's going to kind of clean house with this league?
I didn't think it when he was announced. I didn't think it during the summer. I didn't think it up until the first game. I didn't think it after Sunderland. After 4 games, I'm starting to wonder if it is going to be Pep possessioning people out of 3 points, then I'm going to fall out of love with the Premier League very, very quickly. The title race will come down, in my opinion, completely to how teams compare against Chelsea and Man City, for me, because they are 2 very, very different teams, but they are so efficient at what they do that they'll be able to churn out results no matter what, So it will all come down to how teams react against them. For me, if you ask me to predict it right now, I'd probably say it was going to be Manchester City that were going to win it. But if they do, it's just, for me at least, I cannot stand this possession for possession's sake football. So for me, it would be a very, very dull year. But they've looked very good so far, and they will be the measuring stick.
I would agree with every word you've said there. I'm totally with you, and I get sort of the views from the other chaps quickly. Actually, Dom, did you see the Manchester debacle? I mean, it was a decent game of football, wasn't it? I mean, City were for long periods very good, but were you convinced by it, or did you think they beat a sort of fairly poor United side on the day?
Well, it was 4:30 a.m. here, and I was sound asleep.
Ah, good.
So when I woke up and
disregard everything I've just said.
when I saw the score, I was happy that Mourinho lost, because I cannot stand that guy. So,
no,
but yeah, I mean, the Pep Guardiola debate or kind of conversation, he's a very divisive manager, isn't he? As far as the style that he brings to his teams. I know that our Simon's very, very fond of the guy after, knowing a lot about him and following him for quite a while. I'm a kind of 50-50 with it. I do think that it's going to be Man City that are going to kind of push the pace, I guess, for the title. We did see them start like a house on fire last year as well and then fall away, but I think with a different manager, a little bit of a different setup, different personnel, I think it's interesting. That's what I'd say about the Pep kind of style of football, is that there's definitely a lot more going on underneath like the surface, I think, as far as how he sets his teams up. I know there's a lot of Arsenal fans that wanted him to replace Arsene Wenger before he went to City. And there's a lot of us that said that that he's not going to be able to do as well at Man City because of he's always walked into teams that are arguably 1-team leagues or 2-team leagues, and he hasn't really had to build a team. So it's going to be interesting. I think if anything, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, again, I think it's going to be one of those, like you say. It's some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. I'm yet to be convinced. I'm in the camp of it's way too early to
I think
say.
you and me both agree on, Chris, is that football and sport in general is meant to be competition. And when I watch Pep Guardiola, I just see dominance, and that's great if you're interested in that. But I would watch La Liga for dominance. I'd watch Barcelona or Real Madrid. I'd watch Bayern Munich for dominance. In the Premier League, the thing that makes our league so much more interesting to watch than some others. I'm not going to say it's the best league in the world because I don't believe it is. But if you like our style of football, it's because of the competition. It's because everyone could beat everybody. But when I see a Pep Guardiola match, it just feels like it's Man City's to win unless they screw it up. That's the real thing I don't like about Pep's style. If you're a Man City fan, you love it. You know, if he was Arsenal manager, you wouldn't mind because you'd be winning every week. You'd be winning your titles and your cups and whatever. But just as a spectator sport, for me, it's not my kind of football.
Yeah, fair comments. And Jace, do you want to have a thought? Did you see the Manchester derby where I don't know what time it would have been for yourself?
No, it was 8:30. Well, 7 started at 7:30 my time, and I didn't wake up until about like 9:30. So
yeah,
no,
fair enough.
Sleeping in as much as I could because I couldn't care less about either of those two twatish teams.
We love a good twat. Okay, let's. I'll put the word up now for anybody who has any questions because we're going to stick to our hour shows roughly this season. So if you got any questions, get them in quickly. Jason, Dom, if you want to keep an eye out for any that come our way for me, that would be smashing. Just want to get a sort of a thought overall. It's something I'm going to bring in this season. I've decided. I just want a number out of 10 on our performance. And a prediction ahead of PSG, just in terms of what you want from the result. So, Jace, I'll start with you. A number and a prediction.
He's muted himself.
Jace is running away.
Funny.
What a fanny. Go on, Dom, you have it first then.
No, you're right. He's back now.
Oh, he's back. Go on, Jace.
I had literally just muted myself to pull up the YouTube. I did. No, I think that our performance today was probably I'm going to go very specific. It was a 5.88.
Okay.
5.88. And then what was it? A prediction? A prediction as well for Tuesday?
A prediction or a comment. I mean, what you want to see, like what you take result wise.
Oh, result wise, I'd be happy with probably a draw there. You know, a draw there, and hopefully we can nick the 3 points from at home, and then go on to win the group.
We'll take that.
Ludogorets turn us over.
Oh God, please don't. Dom, same question to you.
I think a 6. I think if you look across the pitch, that most players would probably be sitting around a 6 on the Opta ratings or whatever they go by now, other than probably Santi, who was very, very good. And as far as a result in PSG, I think for me, I'll take a draw as long as we play really, really well. For me, it's a little more important about how we play than anything. I mean, obviously, result first. You know, if we play terribly and win, then fantastic. But if I'm going to be conservative, a draw I would take. Being like Jay said, you know, we could probably try to roll them at home, but I don't see any reason why we can't win that game.
No, I'm with you. And sorry, Ross, Sadio Mane's trolling you again. Ugh.
Oh, I knew he did well for Klopp. It doesn't surprise me.
No, true. Okay, right. Let's have a look at some of these questions then before we go. First one, Dom, I'm just going to come back to you for the first one. This was from Daniel Gordon. He wanted to know if you thought Lucas Perez played scared today, sort of scared of making mistakes.
I don't think so. I think that just the way that Southampton defended just meant that he struggled to get as involved in the game as perhaps he had hoped. Like Jay said earlier, that in the second half he kind of came into it a little bit more. But I just think that the way that Southampton defended was really, really good. So it cut off a lot of the supply that he potentially would have gotten on the end of a few times. So scared, I'm not sure, but I mean it's adjusting to new players, new sort of pace, new defenders, you know, new everything. I'm not sure if he's played in the rain for a while, being in Spain. That's probably another one. But scared? No, I don't think he doesn't seem like that type of player, does he? That he's going to be scared.
No. particularly at his age, where this is like his big move, isn't it? It's like the opportunity just to go out there and show what you can do. So no, I think it's too early to say. Here's a question for Ross from John. John that wants to know: can we have Stephen Davies? Arsenal can never have enough midfielders. He was pretty good today, wasn't he? To be fair,
he was. No, you can't have anyone. We lose too many.
until Ronald Koeman gets bored and decides to buy more of your players.
Oh, there's a name.
Yeah. Jace, everything Rude Read, everything wants to know how about them Panthers? Do you want to? I think that's got some kind of throw ball. I don't know what.
It's some hand egg, and I don't want to fucking talk about it. although in the third quarter, our quarterback was pictured on the sideline flossing his teeth, literally flossing his in the middle of a game. Just
I did see that game, Jace. I'm surprised he wasn't searching for his teeth in the last quarter where he had his bell rung.
He was definitely roughed up a little towards the last of the game. So yeah. Good thing is it's a long season. We got 15 more games, and hopefully we just go 15-1 like we did last year.
You can but hope. Don't bottle it in the bloody super special bowl final thing, whatever it's called, because you were upset last year. I don't like seeing you upset. It was a question for me, actually. Jordan, I never know, Jordan. Is your name Jordan Chappell or Jordan Chappelle? Because I think Chappelle sounds more like, cool. So let's go with that. Anyway, he wanted to know if Unai Emery will be sacked before the winter, did you say? Before the end of the season, if PSG don't improve significantly. Don't think he'll be sacked for the end of the season, but he'll be sacked at the end of the season, because this is supposed to be PSG season where they go the big one and really challenge to get through to the semis or the final of the Champions League. So unless they improve significantly before the season is ended, yes, he'll be sacked. And if they don't win the French league, he will definitely be sacked. He will be gone, because that is the bare minimum, like it is for Bayern in Germany and Juve in Italy. So yeah, one to watch, definitely one to watch. Okay, I think that'll kind of do us. I'll just get some final thoughts from everybody before we go. So Dom, final thoughts from you, sort of overall encouraged, but room for improvement. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, from what I saw last time, I wasn't all that impressed. I think that he's got a lot of growing to do. I thought, are we talking about John's beard, or we're still talking about the game?
Talk about John's beard if you like. It's impressive.
It's disappointing that he got rid of it, and he's got a lot of work to do. So interesting to see how he bounces back next show. I know that he got dropped for this show for myself, which is fair enough. You can't argue with the decision there, and I think this team selection was spot on today.
Failed a fitness test as well. He's been lacking for a while. We might have to send him over to you to get him sorted out, because I can't keep paying him these appearance fees when he looks like he does. So yeah, improvement needed. I would agree. Jace, what's your sort of final thoughts overall today?
Don't cut people off before they have even taken a penalty. Too many of our fans saying that Santi was going to miss it, and of course he put it home right in the fucking middle because he's got bigger balls than all of you.
Yeah. No, Jace is of course referring to our wonderful fans on Twitter, who are obviously beautiful and wonderful, and they never overreact or underreact to anything ever.
You can ask Kris. I'm as negative as they come, but let the guy take a penalty. Mm-hmm. Jesus H Christ, or as our Welsh friend says, Jesus wept.
I think you'll find it's pronounced Jesus.
Hey, exactly. Get it right, Jace.
Not in Trump's America. It's not.
not in Mexico. No, it's also very funny when you look at Twitter timelines and everyone's kind of losing their mind when it's a 1-1 draw and then they win. Everyone's like, "Yeah, we won." It's like, talk about difference of opinions, Jesus. And finally, from you, Ross, your sort of final thoughts on. By all means, you can go back to Saints. Your final thoughts on today, and just a general as to how you think the season might pan out for Arsenal as well. I'm sure people are interested in an unbiased view.
I feel like I saw a box of donuts on the kitchen counter and I reached for one and my mum hit me in the back of the hand with a scolding ladle. That's how I feel. Don't think we deserved that today. It's knowing what that result could have done for the fan base and for the team. That's very difficult to handle. And whoever we've got next, I think Sparta Prague at home in the Europa League, we have got to win that now. It puts enormous pressure on Claude and the team and the fan base. So I'm not looking forward to the next few days. It's a very, very difficult result to take. As for Arsenal, you will have more performances like that. You will have more results like that. You will be entertained. You will be pissed off. You will be frustrated. But at the end of the day, you will get the Champions League, and you will do some damage to Tottenham Hotspur when they come around. And isn't that the most important thing?
Exactly. It is the most important thing, and we do indeed look forward to that game. And of course, you've got Thomas Rositzky visiting your St Mary's Stadium next week, so do look after him. Of course,
that's what I was looking forward to, seeing Thomas Rositzky. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very brittle, is our Thomas. So you look after him, all right? We've already had to send Matthew Flamini to Alan Pardew. We don't want to have any more casualties this week. So you just look after our Thomas. Right, okay. Well, I think that will do us for today, gentlemen. I appreciate your time, and of course, Ross, again, takes a real man to come on and front out a defeat. So I do thank you very much for coming on today. It's very kind of you.
And to admit I got the Shane Long thing wrong. I have seen it back. It's clearly a foul. I'm still pissed, but nonetheless, thank you for having me.
Your pleasure. I'm sure you'll get your time. You did have a 4-0 over us. You can't have it all. Thank you, Jace, as well for your time in Mercaland. I appreciate it.
No, thank you all for having me. Thanks to Ross for coming on after a difficult time, obviously. And best of luck to you guys against the big sides. Take some points from them.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, here. And thank you, Tom. It's been a while, but I feel like it was worth waiting for to get you back on. So assuming there isn't an outcry of people to have you banned, I think we'll have you back. So thanks for coming back on, mate.
It's great to be back. It's good fun.
Tis, absolutely. Right, okay, we'll wrap it up there then. Thank you all for joining us as usual. You can find us in the usual places. Have a look at the links below and stuff. Do subscribe to us and all that jazz. I believe there'll be a podcast on Thursday. Gim and Danny and the crew will be back. Don't know who's on it, so don't ask me. Not a clue. And of course, we'll be back with a radio show after the PSG game, which I'm sure I'll be around for. So do look out for that. Just in closing, I just got one more thing I want to say. You might have noticed from this week that Tom has moved on from ABW. I just want to take this opportunity just to publicly thank Tom for all his work with us, with ABW and on the radio shows as well. He's gone on to host his own show, and I think he'll do very, very well at that. So we really appreciate it and wish Tom all the best. So thank you to Tom, and thank you to our listenership. As I say, we do appreciate you tuning into us and sharing your views. So we'll be back. Thanks also to John for monitoring the chat. Cheers, John. I'll have you back if I can afford you. And thank you to my panelists. So we've been ABW Radio, Keep It Arsenal, and we will speak to you after PSG and on the podcast on Thursday. Ta-ta for now, everybody.